Forward to international solidarity, forward. Thanks, comrades. Let me say all protocol observed. Namumabuto Mabeda, General Secretary of the Zimbabwe Communist Party, Comrade Nyathi, when I came here, I didn't know what to say. We're asked to come and critique a book. So thanks to Dr. Moyo, who did the critique for us, or who outlined so that we are able, as Marxists, to give our views on what Comrade Nyathi has written, to build on what Comrade Seven has already said. One of the things that we do as Marxists, Comrade Nyathi, which you know very well, we use what we call Marxist-Leninist tools of analysis to analyze the work that you have produced. Materialism, dialectics and historical materialism. Now, one would expect in this book, when we say at a time such as this, we need to define our struggle in Zimbabwe. What is the nature of the Zimbabwean struggle? Without defining the nature of the Zimbabwean struggle, we will not find a solution. At the end, towards the end, Babu Nyathi speaks about the national consciousness. Before he speaks to national consciousness, he speaks about living in the past. And he argues that one of the things that is Comrade Seven has been doing since its relaunch is to live in the past. But the past guides us to the future. We cannot move forward without understanding that in 1890, 1893 existed under feudal society 2 states. There might not have been states in that they did not have what we might call a government yamanje. But the reality is that the British South African Company colonized what is known today, raised their flag in what is known today as Harare in 1890. Earlier on we spoke about Jameson Line. In 1893, which is a historical fact, that King Lobengula and his kingdom were overthrown. And in 1923, in an all-white election, whites decided they should remain firstly to end a British South African Company rule and a self-government. This is the beginning from 1890, the development of capitalism. So if we want to talk about national consciousness, linking to the national question, we cannot avoid and bury our heads in the sand. Our heads, in the sand. And pretend as if the question of Mtwagazi does not exist. We must deal, as Marxists, we must deal with the question of Mtwagazi. It exists, it is there. There are political parties for Mtwagazi, restoration. But at a time such as this, how do we deal with the question of Mtwagazi? How do we deal with the question of restoration? At a time such as this. At a time such as this, how do we deal with the stooges of imperialists in Zimbabwe? At a time such as this, how do we deal with the parasitic bourgeoisie that continue to loot our resources? Dambabizolo bembuke some clip video abantu besala ukubhadala i-toll gate because i-toll gate imali yakhona isiphezulu kakhulu. And I was saying to some comrades ukuthi these are the seeds of the revolution. When ordinary people are beginning to say asisafuni. But how do we, Comrade Nyathi, without developing a clear mechanism in terms of the solutions? I've been looking at what you call bank deposit or deposit bank of solutions. The reality, as someone said earlier on, is that the working class, when we talk of the working class, including Abakotama and the unemployed, they support the MDC. The MDC, which advances a neoliberal agenda, the working class support it. Emakaya, they support ZPRA, which has taken us to the 18th century, primitive bakeries. Now, at a time such as this, how do we as communists, as Marxists, respond? How do we build a national consciousness amongst our people? Do we really need to develop a new language? Before we even get to the new language, do we need to even debate whether we need to build a nation? Because we are agreed that there is a nation that exists. But there are two issues that you must confront. Firstly, is to put to bed the whole question of restoration, since already 2 minutes, of restoration, and begin to say, the Machiavellian question, which the Lupane is the results explains kuhle, and the Mangwe results are going to explain kuhle. Yukuti, the restoration agenda, it is not airbound on the ground. That's the first reality. The second reality, you put while victims of a capitalist system. After the coup in 2017, Zimbabwe is now a deep state under militaristic capitalism. Now, at a time such as this, how then do we deal with this demon, militaristic capitalism? What do you mean by militaristic capitalism? As long as we are not connected to the military, business is going down. In terms of governance, we will be told to national service, you will never be president of that country. So, Comrade Nyathi, at a time such as this, how then do we move forward? We must resolve the national question. The national question has everything to do with the mode of production, which is still colonial in nature in our country. Now, that mode of production does not benefit society as a whole. It benefits the few. And the Chinama communists was saying, you cannot resolve the national question without building an alternative to capitalism, which is socialism. Forward to socialism. Unless you build socialism, we will always have these challenges. So the way forward is for us to resolve the national question. I've always heard people talking about decolonization of the mind. We must decolonize the means of production in our country and place the economy of our country in the hands of the majority. And when we talk of the economy being in the hands of the majority, we are saying we must move to socialism. But before that, we are saying we must build a democratic economy. We are ready, Comrade Nyathi, to engage. Amanda.